Credit card companies know that. They know that despite the 5% you might get, you're going to spend more and have to pay them more back later. Hey guys, Gibby here. If you've been watching television any time over the last year, you've seen a lot of different commercials advertised for this idea of 5% cash back on groceries, 4% cash back on dining, 3% back on gas, whatever it is. These credit card companies make it sound like if you use their services, you're actually going to get so much back that it's going to make you richer. And on the surface, that sounds like a really, really good plan. However, there are some drawbacks, and that's actually what I'm going to get into in this video, is the problems that come up when you use these credit cards as opposed to paying with cash or only using a credit card on select purchases. I'm going to share with you things that have worked for me and my purchases, and why I think that certain things are better for credit cards while others are better in cash. And again, this is what has worked for me. So take that and do what you want to do with this. But I'm just going to share what I feel and my experiences, and hopefully it's able to help you out as well. The first thing is I want to talk about groceries and everyday purchase items. I do not think that credit cards should be used for this. Even if you were to get 3 or 4% cash back on these different credit cards, the problem is that you're probably going to end up buying more groceries, buying more items than you otherwise would have if you had just paid with cash. If you have a $100 budget, for example, and you go to the store and you have a $110 bill. If you go to a cash register, even if you do self-checkout, it's really awkward to have to call over the cashier for the self-checkout and say, hey, I actually have to cancel these 3 items because I don't have enough money, or decide which items are most and least important, because it's a hassle that nobody wants to deal with. With a credit card, you don't have that. However, you're going to spend a lot more money. And in your head, you're not going to be as worried about going over that $100 budget. So it's actually very easy to spend $108, $110, $115, or even $150 when you have a credit card. Now, let's say on an extreme example, you get 5% cash back. That would be an extremely high return rate on any credit card, but let's say 5% cash back. So you have a $110 bill. You get 5% cash back on that, essentially meaning you get about $5.50 back. So you still spend $104.50. That's a $4.50 over your budget. And yes, you got some of it back. However, again, it's not going to be saving you money in the long run because you're still spending more than what you budgeted. Now, let me take the cash example. Again, as I was just mentioning, you don't want to get to the cash register and have to put away items. You don't want to have to decide what items are most important and which ones aren't, and then make that decision, because it's annoying, it's a hassle, and it's embarrassing when you have to put items back, especially if you're going through a checkout line. And so when you do that, you're actually going to you might have a $100 budget, but you're actually going to spend less than that, because just in case if something actually isn't on sale, if you bring the baby or the little kids and they grab something and you say, yeah, whatever, just get it. If you decide that you want an extra ingredient, or you remember that you need something else, or you're weighing your fruits and vegetables and you're just not sure how much it weighs. The point being, you're going to shoot for about $90 to $95 after tax, so that you have sort of a $5 to $10 buffer just in case you did go over budget a little bit more than what you're projecting. When this happens, you're very rarely going to hit $100. In fact, you're likely going to hit that $95 on average, meaning that you actually did get 5% cash back on your $100 budget. Let me explain that again. You have $100, you save 5%, you have $95. That's what you have with cash, because you are not going to get to the $100 point. So you're already saving money. You do get that cash back, and it can go towards groceries in the future. Now, the next category I want to get into is the monthly fees, rent, your mortgage, if you have subscriptions to streaming services, cell phone bill, whatever that is. In that case, I don't have a problem with using credit cards, just because there's not really any wiggle room. You can't just save money on rent. And if you do, tell me how to do it, because I would love to have tips on that. But I'm going to be paying $860 every single month for rent, or whatever I end up paying. And so I want to get that 1 or 2% cash back, even though it's only going to be $15 to $20. That's still, breakfast for a week, or I could go out for lunch a couple of times, or, I can do something with $20 is what I'm saying. And once you throw in the streaming services, you've got the cell phone bills, any car payments you might have, that could add up to $40 or $50 every single month. And then you do have a significant amount of cash coming back. So in that sense, I do believe it is better to use a credit card as opposed to just using a debit card, which is essentially just cash in the form of electronic form, just an electronic form of cash. And so when you have that, it's actually worth it. And so with monthly costs, things that are not going to change, things that are very consistent, I would recommend using a credit card for that. You're going to get a much lower percentage as far as the cash back goes, just because there's not programs generally that are going to go above 1 or 2% for those kind of purchases. However, again, it is something that's better than nothing, and it is better than just putting in a debit card where that money is just going to go out and you're going to get nothing back on return. The third and less common area that I suggest using cash for is the big negotiable purchases. And what I mean by that is offer cash on the big purchases. If you're going to go get a car, offer cash for a down payment. If you're going to try to get land, offer cash, because people like cash. It's sort of this odd thing where people love to feel money. They love the feeling of money, and that's something I love as well. Everybody loves to feel money, even though it's gross and filthy. We love the feeling of money. And so if you're able to negotiate with cash as opposed to a card, and a credit card, whether it's a credit card or a debit card, you're going to get a better deal most of the time, because people are going to be more willing to negotiate when they can actually physically see and touch that money, as opposed to it just being something electronic where they actually never see it until it hits their bank account. And then by that point, it's been a couple of days and it's a lost memory. So when you have those purchases that are more negotiable, and especially this works in other countries with taxi rides, with going to even stores and vendor markets, take cash, because you're going to be able to have a lot more power and end up saving quite a bit of money. I lived in Mexico for 2 years, and I avoided using my debit card. I didn't have a credit card there, but I avoided using my card as much as possible, because I realized that people were a lot more likely to be able to deal and have negotiations when I had physical cash as opposed to just a card. Finally, I think it's just really important to understand and know that you have to set your own budget. You have to be able to look at this and say, okay, what is worth it for me? If you are able to do grocery pickup, for example, and you can get that 4 or 5% cash back, then absolutely do that, because you're not going to have those hidden costs, and you're able to look at your cart before you purchase it, and then you can make those decisions of what you actually do and do not need without the stress of having to put back items or having to make up that decision on the spot, and then later realize, I did need that product, I just lost it because it was a spur of the moment decision on what I needed to put back. So when you actually have it in a cart online, you're able to save that money and not have to worry about that. So if you're able to do that, then that's great. And again, this is what has worked for me. I'm not saying this is perfect for you, but if you want to take what I've done and apply it to your own lives, I really do believe it can be super helpful, because you just naturally are going to be saving more money when you pay for cash and have to budget with that, as opposed to having the credit card where you feel a little bit more freedom to make those purchases that might go a little bit over your budget. And here's just a little thought. Just think about this for a second. There's a reason credit card companies are offering this cashback incentive. It's not so that they lose money. Okay, it's the same thing as a casino. I've always heard the phrase, the nicer the casino, the more money you're likely to lose, because they don't pay for the casino by giving away money, right? Same thing with credit card companies. They don't make money by giving you back your money. They know that the higher the incentive is, the more you're likely to go over, because in your head, you'll say, well, I'm getting 5% cash back for this. Well, guess what? Unless you spend $105.10 or 25 cents, whatever it is, you're actually going to go over budget. Credit card companies know that. They know that despite the 5% you might get, you're going to spend more and have to pay them more back later. And then, of course, there's overdraft fees. And if you forget to hit a payment, then that whole 5% saved is gone and out the window, and it's gone for the next year, because you're going to be having to pay interest rates, and it's just not worth the risk. These are my recommendations with credit card versus cash, when each is appropriate to use, and when you may or may not want to even take a credit card to the store to keep you under that budget. I personally don't take a credit card at all to the store, or my debit card, because I am willing to go through that embarrassment if I get to that point. I just don't let myself get to that point. And it rarely happens, because I shoot for that $90 range. So even if I hit $96, I'm over $6 what I thought I was, I'm still $4 under my limit, and I got essentially 4% cash back. If you found these tips helpful, please like and subscribe. Also, please leave a comment. Let us know what works for you. Now, obviously, I'm just coming at you with my point of view, but I'm sure people all over the world have their own different ways of managing credit cards versus cash. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. So please leave a comment as well. And I hope to see you guys again soon.